All right, welcome back. We're going to be working in our geometry unit now, as we started yesterday with naming angles. Now we're going to proceed and work on different types of angles and figure out how we can solve for their angle measure. So our goal for today is to identify and calculate complementary and supplementary angles, which are your two vocabulary words. So if you haven't already, go ahead and label this as notes quadruple zero. And we're going to be talking about complementary and supplementary angles. You're going to want a ruler to draw nice straight examples with your lines. So complementary angle, or complementary angles rather, are two or more angles whose sum is 90 degrees. And supplementary angles are two or more angles whose sum is 180 degrees. And they form a semicircle when adjacent. We'll talk more about that as we proceed. Pause the video and copy down these two definitions and examples onto your Unit 4 vocabulary notes. So this is the second page in notes 24. You have that from yesterday, which we started with naming angles. So as discussed already, we have the definitions of complementary angles and supplementary angles on this page. What you'll see in this first example here is that we have these two angles here, a 30-degree angle and a 60-degree angle, and they're complementary because their sum is 90 degrees. And in this example right here, angles 1 and 2 are complementary because that little red box says that that angle is 90 degrees. So the sum of angles 1 and 2 is 90 degrees. And here you have a little cartoon, complementary angles, saying, wow, you look cute today, to the acute angle. Do you get the joke? Haha. Complementary, spelled with an E like this, is that word that we're just talking about right now. Complementary, spelled with an I like this, means, oh, you look nice today, like giving someone a compliment. And supplementary angles, we have two or more angles whose sum is 180 degrees, and they form a half circle when adjacent. Let's talk about what that means. So first, 135 plus 45, what is that sum? 180. So those are supplementary. And then we have this straight angle here. Straight angles are also 180 degrees. So the sum of angles 3 and 4 lie on that straight angle. So they're supplementary. So their sum will be 180 degrees. Also, if I draw a semicircle through angles 3 and 4, we know how many degrees are in a full circle? 360. So how many degrees are in a semicircle? 180. So let's just start with the first part of the success criteria, identifying complementary and supplementary angles. So let's take a look here. Number one, this angle here is 43 degrees. And we have another angle here at 47 degrees. So if we check their sum and we add, we get 90 degrees. So what type of angles are these? They're complementary. Right? Let's check the next one. So we have 48-degree angle and a 27-degree angle. So 48, 27. $75 degrees. Are these complementary? No, their sum's not 90. Are they supplementary? No, their sum's not 180. So in this case, they are neither. So we don't have a classification for them. And let's check out these two angles here, 52 degrees and 128 degrees. So let's go ahead and find their sum. 180. So what would their classification be? Supplementary, that's right. You try number 4. So now we're going to tell whether the angles are complementary or supplementary. And then we're going to write and solve an equation to find the value of x and the values of each angle. So let's start here on number 4. What does that little box in the corner mean? Yeah, that means it's a right angle. And right angles are how many degrees? 90 degrees. So if these two angles together are 90 degrees, are these complementary or supplementary? Complementary. So we know that their sum is 90. So the first angle is 10x, the second angle is 30, and their sum is 90. And now we just have a two-step equation to solve. So we're going to subtract that 30 from both sides. 90 minus 30 is 60. We'll divide by 10. And we get x equals 6. Now this is not 6 degrees because we have to go back and we have to substitute 6 in for x right there. So we have 10 times 6, meaning that this angle is how many degrees? That's right, 60 degrees. So if we check, what's 60 degrees plus 30 degrees? 90 degrees. So we've done this problem correctly. Let's take a look at number 5. So we look at these angles and we see that they fall along a straight line. How many degrees are in a straight line? 180. Also, if I draw around those angles, I see that it forms that semicircle. So what type of angles do we have here? Did you say supplementary? Good job. Now we know that the sum of supplementary angles is what? 180, exactly. So the sum, so we just need to add those two angles together. So we have one angle is 4x plus 40, and the other angle is 3x. So their sum should be 180. Now we're going to combine like terms. 4x and 3x is our 7x. Subtract that 40 from both sides. And finally divide by 7. What's 140 divided by 7? 20. So we've solved for x. And now the directions say find the value of each angle. So we have to go back and substitute. So we have 3 times x, or 3 times 20, which is 60 degrees. And then over here, 4 times 20 plus 40. Well, 4 times 20 is 80, and 80 plus 40 is 120 degrees, right? So now we'll check. 120 and 60. Does that add up to 180? Sure does. Let's take a look at number 6. So number 6 says, find the value of x needed to hit the ball in the hole. This is like going to mini golf where you have to hit the ball around the barriers. So again, if you look closely, we see that there is a barrier right here. Straight line. If we have those angles that fall along the straight line and we can draw that semicircle around them, what type of angles do we have? Supplementary. And we know that the sum of supplementary angles is 180 degrees. So we have one angle that's x, another angle that's 79, and a third angle this time that's x. So their sum is 180 since they are all supplementary. And now we're ready to solve. Combine like terms. Use inverse operations. And then divide by 2. We have 50 and 5/10. That means that this angle is 50 and 5/10 degrees. So in this case, the x is degrees. In our previous two problems, the x value was not degrees because it had another coefficient. So then our check that we could do in our calculator would be to add 50 and a half, 50 and a half, and 79. Is that sum 180? It is. You try number 7. Let's talk about number 8. So number 8, we have angle LOM as 2x plus 46. And we have angle MON as 3x minus 6. And I notice in looking at this diagram that there's a little square in the corner here. What does that mean? It's a right angle, which means these angles have what relationship? Complementary. So their sum should be 90. Go ahead and solve this equation for x and see if you can figure out what the measure of angle LOM is and what the measure of angle MON is. Finally, let's take a look at this last problem here, number 9. So we have a lot going on in this problem, but I still see this straight angle, angle POQ, this straight line. So if those angles fall along that straight line and I can draw that semicircle through them, we know we have what type of angles here? Supplementary. And we know that the sum of supplementary angles is 180 degrees. So we're just going to add all the angles together. So angle POS, this angle right here, is 5x plus 4 degrees. SOR, this angle right here, is x minus 2. Whoops. We have to add that on. And finally, angle ROQ, 3x plus 7. Let's combine our like terms. So we have 5x, x, and 3x. How much is that? 9x. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 plus 7 is 9. And we'll use inverse operations to solve. Divide by 9. So we have 19 equals x. Is that degrees? It's not because we have to substitute. So we know angle POS was 5x plus 4. So if we substitute 19 in there, we have 99 degrees. Angle SOR was x minus 2. So if we substitute 19 in there, we have 17 degrees. And why don't you go ahead and figure out what the measure of angle ROQ is? Once you get that, add up all those 3 angles and see if you get the right sum. That's it. See you next time.